All
Oh,
right,
I
good to
just put
go.
my thing on mute.
Okay, so now I can't see anyone. So let me see if I can get my Zoom, at least the top of it showing. We'll see. So anyway, welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking about business model and competitors. This is a little bit of a shorter class tonight, but we are still going to be doing some feedback, getting some information and some interactivity. Hopefully, you were able to take a look at some of your business materials last night and see where you can start filling in that homework. I see we have one high achiever that sent some homework in. I'll be taking a look at that and providing some feedback. But if you have it, go ahead and send it.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
So currently I'm at work and I'm finishing up to leave soon. So my camera will be off. So should I keep my camera off or join when I get home?
Okay, so you'll be driving and stuff. I'll just notate it. But please, as soon as you get home, you can get back on camera then, okay? You
Okay,
don't,
thank
you
you.
don't,
Because
yeah,
I didn't want my camera to be off the whole time. So sorry about that.
no
Thanks
worries,
for
guys.
letting
Yeah, no
us
worries.
know.
Thank you for
Thank
letting us
you.
know. Yeah.
Can I ask a question also, please, if it's okay?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, is the homework due today or is it due next Monday? Because I thought it was due next Monday.
It is.
Okay, I'm just, I'm almost done with mine, but can I ask a question on
Sure.
the homework though? So, last class it was stated that for question 4, it says list 3 features. Wait. Wait. Okay, so question 3, it says identify if your business is a vitamin or a pain reliever. Can your business be a little bit of both?
Your business could be a little bit of both, but you want to position it one way or the other.
Okay. Because
Because
the
the
way my business is set up, it's a little bit of both.
well, but what you want to be thinking about throughout your homework, and especially when you're talking about target customers and messaging, there are multiple ways and multiple people who can purchase your product. When
Right.
you do this work, you need to be able to make a decision on who is the person in that lane. What is the position that singular position? So you can create messaging that speaks directly to that vitamin or directly to that pain reliever that's speaking directly to that target customer. So when you
Okay.
try to straddle both, then the messaging gets watered down and those people just don't hear it and you struggle.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
I'm
All
sorry,
right.
can I just get, I'm sorry, can I
Yes.
just get clarity with the homework assignment? It is due Monday, correct? I had to
Correct.
step away. Thank you.
Yes. All right. So then
Okay,
we'll
I
go.
have a question. I'm sorry.
No, no problem.
So are we supposed to submit it through email?
Yeah, you can send it right to Marisol. She will send it to me if it, and then I'll take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the email that she sent us, right? We forward it back or we
Yes.
reply back with the assignment.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started then. The who here has heard of a business canvas? They've been around for a while. Um, and they pretty much kind of encapsulate all of the things around a business. Chloe, I see you have, I'm sure. Val, you have. What a business canvas does is it kind of captures all the relevant information about your business in one space. And the question was about the business canvas, if you've had or seen or familiar with a business canvas. I'm going to be sending you uh, the business canvas that is widely used, but I'm also going to send an early stage entrepreneur business canvas that the questions are a little more relevant to a very early stage business that might not have suppliers and key relationships and things like that. So we're going to be talking about that. But when you get that model, that business canvas, I really want you to take some time to fill that in for your business. Put some real thought into it because this is your business. This is where you're going to be spending a whole lot of time and likely a whole lot of money to get this thing going to be something sustainable for you and supporting your lifestyle. So you really, really, really want to take the time to dig in as deep as you can to put the responses into the canvas. So these are some of the things that it's going to be asking you about. Who are you serving? And we talk a little bit about that Monday. We talked a little bit about this right now. That target customer is key. Remember, when they're not asking you to leave out anyone else that can purchase from you, that's not the purpose of the target customer. The target customer says, even amongst all the people who could buy from me, this is the person who is most ideal for my business. This is the person who checks 8 out of 10 boxes that I have for who my best customer is, because that's who all of my messaging is going to be tied to. That's the purpose. So you want to really, really niche down who is that customer. We talked about demographics. We talked about, we're going to talk about psychographics. There's all these different things about that customer that you're going to want to know. But using the benefits of your business, that's going to help guide you to who's that person that needs what you have to offer. Speaking of offer, what is your offer? You don't want to drop down into features again. If you say my offer is a cleaning business, that's not the offer. Even if you say my offer is 3 rooms for $9.99, that's not the offer. The offer is the benefits. The offer is freedom. The offer is more time with your family. The offer is better health by using products with no chemicals in it. Those are the things you want to be thinking when you think, what is my offer? What is it that people are actually going to buy? They buy results, they pay for benefits. That's the gear that you want to be turning for your offer. And your operations I really want to talk about this operations because when we get small and we start, we tend to throw the book out the window for how we operate a business. We act like we're not customers. We know how businesses operate. You should have operating hours. I'll say that again. You should have operating hours. That means you're not responding to DMs at 10 o'clock at night. That means you're not taking calls in the middle of the morning. You have operating hours and you train your customers to work with you within those hours. That makes you feel a whole lot more like a business than a side hustle. We're going to talk about if they only got a DM you. That's a whole nother problem that we'll talk about later, along with them Gmail addresses, but we're going to get there later. Right now, I just need you to know that operations is about how you run your business day to day. Start with operating hours and then think about within those hours, what am I going to be doing? What does my business do from 9 to 5, if those are your hours? Detail, write it out. Costs. What does it cost me to run my business? Don't leave out your time, even if you don't pay yourself yet. Why? Because the work that you do, remember we talked about moving up that org chart. You're in an operational mode right now. And as you move away from that and bring someone else in to do that work, they're not working for free. So you need to account for that money that you're going to have to pay when someone else comes in and does that work. And even if you never hire anyone else, the dollar value of your time needs to be included in your cost of goods. What does it take to deliver this product or service? And revenues is how much you make. How much, who here watches Shark Tank? I just need to see who here, who's a Shark Tank fan? Because I'm letting y'all know literally as soon as I sign off here,
Shark
I'm
Tank good,
signing
but
right
they
on the
be
Shark Tank.
declining good offers.
Say again?
I said sometimes they be having good episodes, but sometimes I feel like they be like turning down good offers.
The business owners?
Yeah.
Same here. I'm like, take it, take it. You know,
Uh-huh. I
Mark
could
has a
see this being something big in the future.
That's right, because Mark has a great phrase. He says it's better to have 20% of a grape or 20% of a grape than or 100% of a 20% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape. What does that mean? That means you yourself could probably generate $80,000. And if you want to hold on 100% of $80,000, it's certainly your option. But if they want to take 80% and give you 20, but that 20% turns into 10 million, give me the 20% all day long. Give me that 20%. Especially if I don't really have to do much for it. So, yes, I'm a huge Shark Tank fan. But when you listen to them and listen to the way the sharks ask the questions, the kind of questions they're asking, one of the first things they want to know is revenue. How much have you sold? That tells them that it's a viable business. That tells them that the marketplace thinks that it's a viable business. That tells them that you actually are solving a problem and that you have a solution that fits that problem. So there's a lot of things wrapped up in that, but you want to understand what your revenues are and have a goal. That's the other thing about it. When you have a business, you should have a revenue goal. And that kind of gives you some guidance on the work that you should be doing every day in your business. Questions? Okay.
Have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned offers.
Yes.
How do you go about creating an offer that is irresistible enough for the customer and sustainable for you to continue to offer it long term?
The first thing you have to know is who the customer is and what the problem is that they have. That's going to tell you how to make it irresistible. Same way you are as a customer, if you have a problem that's immediate, that's urgent, and someone pops on that commercial, like, oh yeah, I need that. I gotta have it. I don't even care. Give it to me. And if you've done the work for your costs, and what we're going to talk about now is pricing, and you've priced it correctly, you don't have to worry about sustainability because that's going to be built into what you've priced.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. Other questions? Okay, so let's talk about pricing because this is near and dear to my heart. First of all, let me see. Before we even start talking about this, tell me in the chat, how did you come up with the pricing for your product or service? What was the process? What did you factor into it? Where's my chat? Here it is.
You want us to put it in the chat or?
Yes, please. Drop that on in the chat. Tell me how you came up with your pricing. Proof of concept. Are you not seeing slides? Not right.
No,
You
No
see
no
slide.
slides?
slide.
Right?
Oh, there's no slides. Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. So once I finish looking at this chat, I'm gonna put some slides up. Thank you. Proof of concept, time it takes to get the work done. Okay. Looked up local businesses offering the same service, and then I'm actually struggling with that. So excited to hear others' thoughts, prices of similar products. So when y'all say you looked up other competitors and you use prices of similar products, did look them up, saw the numbers, and then what? Market research, what does that mean? Currently looking at competitors, cost of goods and service, my time and expertise. Great, Chloe. Comparing similar services, and then what? Checking competition, and then so when you checked it, then what? Other businesses like mine checked out their prices. Okay, next step, then what? Charge what I used to pay for rent as a small business owner. I need to hear a little more about that. Searched other companies' websites. And then what? Totaled expenses, industry standard prices, then did the math, and that leads to a profit. How does that lead to a profit? Looking at pricing of other marketing businesses, then what? And yeah, so a lot of you looked up at what other people were doing, but then what did you do to your price? How did that reflect in what you are charging? Went off my competition and went a little lower. Jackie, I'm gonna talk to you. Based off my experience, not sure what that means. Did some research and still don't have a good price list. We're going to talk about it, what doulas make locally, what I provide, special skills and training I took, and being on call. That's part of it. Cost of materials, certainly part of it. Salaries for copywriters with my experience, then what? So that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about. What do you do when you have this information? Now, let me get this where y'all can actually see the slides. I'm just here talking like y'all can see what I see. Okay, because now can you see slides?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So the cost, what goes into pricing before I even get there, because I heard a lot of people say they looked at competitors and this. I want to tell you to be confident in what you offer. Be confident in what you have put together and built. I have heard time and time and time again, and Jackie, I think I saw you or you did this. You said I looked at what others were charging, and then I charge a little lower. Why? Why? If anything, if I look and see what the competitors are doing, I'm going to bump it up higher. Because if I'm saying I'm better than my competitors, why would I then price my product or service lower than what they are charging? It's like if you saw a two vases on a table that looked very, very similar, and one was 19.99 and another was 59.99. Psychologically, we're thinking this vase over here must have something built in it that this other one doesn't. I'm going to buy that other one. I'm buying the 59.99 one. Why would you ever sell less? You are doing the work, and it's great work. Price accordingly. Not only that, it is very hard to move people from a lower price to a higher price. I hear that as a strategy. I'm going to start low, then I'm going to raise my prices. Well, let me just say, again, you are a customer before you are a business owner. How often do you accept and embrace a vendor or raising their prices? If you used to get that cream for 19.99 and all of a sudden it's 29.99, what do? You immediately start going to find somebody who's 19.99. This is the other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to price.
Can I ask a question about that?
Absolutely.
So you just said you're not supposed, well, I'm sorry, can you say that sentence just one more time?
Which one? What
The one you
the
just said about raising your pricing.
It's very hard to move people up from a lower price to a higher price. If you're used to getting a cream for 29.90 or 19.99 and they raise it to 29.99, then that customer is going to go trying to find somebody who's charging 19.99 because
Okay,
that's the value that you've set for that cream.
but what if you offer more? Like you don't, okay, if I say this wrong, right? But what if that customer has been with you for a while and strategies that are obviously working for them, and they wanna like they want or you want to keep their business, yeah, you have to raise your prices and all, but what if that customer gets more in the long run? Is that a thing too?
It depends on what we're talking about getting more in the long run, because as a business owner, you don't want to keep throwing everything in the kitchen sink to try to justify your pricing. That's going to put you out of business if you are,
Right,
every time you raise your prices, you're raising your costs because there's
right.
costs associated with that. But what you
But
want to do with your pricing is set the value of what people are getting, what your customer is getting.
okay, so remember when um hold on. So remember when like in the news like the stuff happened with like just an example, right? So when the it was just on the news with the Shein and the Temu and stuff, and when their stuff like when all the I don't know, I saw on the news Shein had something and and with the the um the ship thing, like
Oh, the
when all that
tariffs?
happened, yes.
Uh-huh.
They raised their prices just a little. They didn't raise them like a whole bunch, but they raised them just like a little bit, and they were still able to maintain their customer base. Like, if you're a loyal customer, is it still the same or is it something different?
Well, that had little to do with being a loyal customer. One, that was a issue that affected everybody in the industry. And second, it wasn't as if, it wasn't something where they were saying, I'm giving you the same product for a higher price just because I want to. That was all like everyone understood these tariffs were adding costs, and everybody was the collective was preparing you that these things are going to cost more because of this. Even so, even local Wegmans was charging and raising their prices from the tariffs. So that's very different than saying, I have this cream that I'm selling in March for 19.99, and then in July I'm raising it up to 29.99 because that's what it should have been in the first place. But I was trying to get customers in the door with 9.99.
So it's different from a service business to a product business,
No,
or it's still the same?
it's really about one positioning. So
Okay,
again, you as a business, there's absolutely nothing wrong with cost of living increases, meaning
right.
if you Monday, if you say your fiscal year is January to December, and every January you increase your prices by, say, 3%. That's completely expected. That's the norm. Everybody kind of understands that. If you have a product or service and then you started out at a low price, thinking once I get customers in here and people start using it, then I'm going to raise the price. That's what I'm
Okay.
talking about, where you're just raising the
Oh,
price in a way that feels arbitrary to your customer. They're not going to just pay it because they're loyal to you.
sorry. Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So, I'm trying to like frame it right, but somebody put in the chat, like, I gotta change my thinking because I would have bought the $19 vase. And that resonated with me because I probably would have brought the $19 vase as
I
well.
got something for you. Go
And
ahead.
and so I think about for me, oftentimes, I spend a lot of times trying to define what makes what I offer unique, right? Like what is so different that it will make people want to, come to me because what I have to offer is unique. And I know me, just as a customer, I don't have like brand loyalty, so to speak, but I'm always looking for what is like different, like what is unique. And that draws my attention. So I just wanted to like, I don't know, get feedback about that because that is totally my frame of like mind.
So here's what I want to say about that. Who is familiar with the term struggle meals? Okay, right? So when you on hard times, there's some go-to things that you buy. For me, it was Hot Pockets. Man, when I tell you I was broke as a joke, broke in a unfunny joke way. I was broke. But them Hot Pockets, my freezers, that was all I had in my freezer, to the point where even on Thanksgiving, I would get turkey Hot Pockets. So I felt like I was in the mix, right? But that was my poor food. That was my food that I bought when I was broke. The moment I got money, I haven't had a Hot Pocket since I've put money in my pocket,
You
right?
wouldn't get them now still?
Say again?
You wouldn't have them now still, even though you
No,
have?
no, no, because I psychologically associate them with being broke. And that you don't want to be what people look at to say, I don't have no money, so I'm going to go to Brown Baddie PR. And when I get money in my pocket, then I'm going to go to that other one that I've been wishing that I could afford the whole time.
Oh, okay. I understand now. Thank you.
You don't want
Okay.
to be the struggle food for your customers. Price yourself accordingly from the beginning. And if you want to then lower, create an entry point, do what everybody else does. Again, you're a customer. You see this all the time where they say the regular price is $997, but for this introductory price, we've got it at 250. Perfect. Because guess what? You've just given yourself runway to raise that price. Because at any time now, you can say, the sale is over. Now we're going back to our 997. But you set the value. I want you to understand that. You set the value of your product or service.
Kim, I have a question.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on value ladders that increase with price depending on the service or product that you provide?
Value ladders, to me, are great, but the value ladder is not about the product or service as much as it's about access to the owner. The higher you get up that ladder, the more access you have to the owner, meaning you have a free ebook that gets them in the door. Then you give them a $197 course. Then you give them a $597 or probably a $997 mastermind. And in all of these, those two very inexpensive pieces, the owner is nowhere. You don't get the owner. The owner is pretty much recorded in those situations. Then when you get to that $997 mastermind, the owner might come in for one session, but have some coaches or something in there that's giving you some information. If you want the owner, you're getting up into that, okay, now I want a live 3-day thing that's now $5,997, and then a one-on-one, which is 10,000. So that's the way value ladder should be doing, because you're literally saying the value of that owner's time is escalating with each product.
Correct. That is how I've seen it be done.
Mhm.
And now, for me personally, I have a media business, so it's a service-based product, and I am currently working on my pricing right now. So I'm glad that this is the portion of the class that we're on, because I know that the value ladder is really efficient and can be profitable and can capture people and can make them go from struggle meal all the way to filet mignon, right? So they stay
Yep.
in your ecosystem.
Yep.
I'm just trying to figure out, because I'm not necessarily, I am giving of my time because I'm doing the work. But the thing that I'm delivering isn't just like access to me, it's access to the quantity of work that I'm providing them. I'm still figuring it out, if I'm being so honest with you.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out, okay, on a low level, is it one piece of content, and then on a that's the first tier, like 10 pieces of content for the starter pack, and then the second piece of content is 20 pieces of content and scheduling, and I'm trying to figure out what that looks like in terms of media and visual storytelling marketing.
So when you say content, what can you talk about what that means when you say pieces of content?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am creating photos or in videos for business owners to utilize in their social media and newsletters and websites, wherever they see fit. But I'm primarily would like to focus on a social media content and converting or having that content take the customer through a funnel from that piece of content through automation and things like that. Now, interestingly enough, figuring out my demographic, I know that when it comes to a brick and mortar, that I'm realizing that's a little difficult because they don't really sell things online. It's usually in their store, a lot of them. And
Hmm.
having them create a product online is having them do something outside of their brick and mortar store. And I don't know how many of them are open to doing that at the very moment. So I'm having to really hone in more on um, people that have online businesses instead of brick and mortars. So
I would challenge that a little bit by saying I'm sure
please.
you go to plenty of brick and mortar businesses that have online presence, and some of those, I mean, what immediately comes to mind is Wendy's.
Mm,
Wendy's online presence draws or pushes people to their brick and mortar because it has created such an identity. And for you, I would just quickly say listening to you, there's no reason I could see why you wouldn't have a a little ebook that talks about the importance of your online presence, especially if you
oh
have
yeah.
brick and mortar. And then your second piece might be a workbook on how to develop a strategy around having that online presence, whether you have a brick and mortar or not. And then so again, you're back to spacing out the access to you. And
Mm,
that higher tier becomes now we get on a one-on-one call and work out your strategy because it's more than just you're just going to pick
mm,
a package offline and do it. There's
right.
strategy behind it. And that's part of your secret sauce, I would guess, being in
Yes,
the media business. That's really where you want to start saying, if you want that secret sauce, I can start dripping and drabbing it as we move up that ladder.
understood. Thank you.
Sure. Val.
Okay, I'm going to try and make this as less complicated as I can. Okay.
Okay.
So, I service academics, reading, writing, and math, as well as confidence building, social skills, study skills, and some behavioral. So, would you say those should be priced differently?
I heard a whole lot of features, Val.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be thinking benefits because
Mm-hmm.
that's what people buy. And
Yes.
when you think about the value of those benefits, that's going to guide you to how they should be priced.
Okay, because I know that based on as far as I've been doing it now, there has been improvement in in the math and their grades because what I do is I communicate with the teachers,
Mm-hmm.
and we communicate. So there, and also with the behavioral portion of that, that's tied into that as well. So um also I previously, well, years ago, had a building, had a space, but now I'm going into the homes. So going on a different level, homes versus building space and utilizing my mileage, my time, and what have you. Those I would think would definitely be a different price.
Those are part of your costs, but you
Okay.
want to be thinking about what's the value
Mm-hmm.
of coming into the home? What's the
Yes.
value that they get? not
Yes.
necessarily the effort you put into it
Okay.
from that perspective, but what's
Okay.
the value of that effort? And
Perfect.
that's what you want to put into your pricing.
Okay. Thank you. Did it make
Sure.
sense though?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Kim.
Mm-hmm. Marisol.
Hi, Kim. Okay, so I have a question about like pricing as far as like industries that are more product based, like more retail based.
Mm-hmm.
Actually retail is what I mean. And you know how sometimes, especially in retail spaces, you're kind of limited on that like profit margin, right? Depending on the product that you're selling, let's say. So in those cases, right? Would you recommend that those businesses also have other things that they rely on for money that they can potentially price better, or does that make sense?
I think so. And I've always said, regardless of you, if you have a product-based business, you should have some service offering. And if you have a service business, you should have a product offering. That's
Mm.
just different streams of revenue. And also, if you have a product, especially a product that's sold in a space where you have a cap like that on your profit margins, then you should be looking at what other places can I sell that same product that does not have those same restrictions.
Like a different environment or
Absolutely. So let's say if you
okay.
sell it in a store and you're
Hmm.
brick and mortar and you sell it one price there, but you have it on Amazon and you sell it for a different price on Amazon, or you sell it for a
Mm,
different price on eBay. You just have different distribution channels for that same product that doesn't have restrictions on how much you can make.
interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Encanto.
Hi, my name is Tiffany. Thank you for having us.
Sure, Tiffany.
I just wanted to get your expert opinion on how I increased my prices over time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been licensed esthetician for 9 years, and this year will be 3 years I've been open in my studio.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And the way I escalated my prices was per year because I started with equipment that was from Amazon or just one shelf of products. And as each year went by, I increased my prices so I could put it back into products and more high quality equipment. So customer clients can see like you're getting the benefit of a higher quality facial equipment or wax equipment. And that's how I set up my price escalation, like a value ladder, as Sasha was saying. Is that okay, or should I do it in a different way? What are your thoughts or opinions?
Sounds like you're doing it perfectly. And I would, again, if you're offering something that is unique, I want you to all to really be thinking about a couple of things. There's your effort, there's the price of your equipment, ingredients, whatever tools you use, but then there's value to the customer. That's a layer that so many of us miss, and because maybe it's easy for us, or maybe we have people who just feel like it's not anything special. But you have to recognize, am I providing something that is giving some exceptional value that they probably can't get from my competitors somehow? And that is worth something. That's a percentage that you would probably lay on. And I, depending on what the industry is and what your market, your target market is, that will determine what that percentage is. But that should be factored into your pricing. It's definitely something. If you're doing B2B, you definitely want to have that in there, especially if you're doing consulting, because that tends to have a lower cost of goods because there's usually just you and then whatever you're bringing into the business. But that is a return for that customer that you need to be building into your pricing. Meaning, if you're delivering a course to a business that makes their workforce more efficient and it saves them $8,000 a month, that $8,000 a month is worth something. So you want to make sure you have that built into your pricing, that your pricing reflects the value. If you have a quick piece of equipment in your salon that most of your competitors don't have and that does creates wonderful results for your customers, there's value in that. And that can be spread across your whole, you don't have to segregate it just to that piece of equipment. You can say our prices are overall this much higher than our competitors, and here's some of the reasons why. Here's some of the benefits that you get from coming to us. So pricing is very nuanced, but we as small early stage businesses, we try to go low when we don't need to, and it reflects the lack of confidence that we have in our value. And we started these businesses for a reason. We know what we can do in our business. We got to stand 10 toes down on what we deliver and price accordingly. Sasha?
I wanted to say something to Tiffany. You've been in your business for 3 years, right?
Yeah, September 1st will make it 3 years now.
So I was thinking about what Kim was just saying, and I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if she has like, I wonder who are the people that are going in there, and I wonder if they're like, girl, I got a job interview. I need to get this job, so I need to look good for this job. And then I'm thinking to myself, that's right there's value because if this job is like a bump and increase, then you can be like, my product, my services are about to get you this job that's a increase to your income. Is that kind of like what you're saying, Kim?
Well, you wouldn't make it that individual in that sense, but if your customers consistently feel like when I walk out of here, I know that I'm 100% confident that I look good and that feeling of that confidence that they're getting, that enabling them to approach people they might not normally approach, go to events they may not normally feel comfortable going to. You put a price on that confidence. That's a benefit of any beauty business. You want to be ready to say, I'm sending women out here with unstoppable confidence. And we all know what that means when we hear it.
Hmm.
Put some money on that.
I like that word enabling.
Mm.
Hmm.
So we only on slide 3. I'm gonna get on here right now. So your cost per unit, you definitely want to know that. Whatever product or service you offer, you should get it down to a unit size. That might be per hour, that might be per person, that might be per student. Whatever that is, you want to break that into units. I would say you can make depending on what you offer, you can put it into a package, but that package should still be made up of units. That's going to be really important when you're trying to figure out what your costs are. Target customer, we talked about your brand. That speaks volumes. We talked yesterday about how mine was so unaligned with those dollar store bags and the luxury business cards. So you want to make sure that your brand speaks to what it is you offer overall, from the moment that they reach out to you, to your website, to what your Instagram page looks like, to how you answer the phone when they talk to you. That's all part of your brand. It's way more than logos and color palettes and fonts. You really have to create a brand. Market pricing. That's that
I'm sorry.
marketplace. I'm sorry.
Can I ask a quick question about that?
Uh-huh.
So I was recently at a conference in downtown Rochester, the MWBE. I think I got the letters right.
Yeah.
MWBE. And a lot of people were asking for cards. I don't have like a card. Well, I do. I have a dot. And so should I switch over from the dot to the paper? Because stuff is always updating. So by doing that, you're able to log into it, make the change, and then hit save, and then you're good to go. But if you have a paper card, you have to go into the design, you have to update the card, then send it over to the printers, then pay for the printers to print it out, then you have to do all this other stuff. Is that kind of complicated for the customers? 'Cause some of them are looking for tangible stuff. And then if you're always on your phone, would that be okay too?
That's a part of understanding your target customer. If your
Okay.
target customer prefers paper, then you should get paper. But if you're out here talking to people and all of your target customers are ready and willing to scan your dot card, and then people who aren't your target customers say, "Hey, man, I really would love it if you had paper cards," you can write your information on their piece of paper and keep it moving because they're
Okay.
not your target.
Okay. Good go.
Mm-hmm.
There's
But that
also
goes,
digital QR codes too, like digital
mm-hmm,
business card QR codes too.
Yeah, I
right.
have it on the back of my card. Like it's a metal card. And every time I go in, I like take out my card and then I hand it to them so they could scan it. And then they're like, "Oh, this is the QR," and they try to like take it. But I'm like, "No, you just flip it over and take a picture of the QR code." Like,
Mm-hmm. But that also goes into the branding. That says you are a forward-thinking business, that you're up on technology, but that's again, is your target customer that way.
okay.
You don't want to, if your target customer is seniors, you're not going to want to have a lot of tech as part of your branding and how you interact with your customers. So always keep that target customer in mind. Alley Cat, I love that.
Hi, so I just wanted, my name is Gigi.
Hi.
I use Hi Hello, and it's a digital business card because I have multiple businesses. So on Hi Hello, you can use it for free if that's like something that you guys are interested in. And again, it allows you to make as many business cards as you want. I know I have 4 on mine that I've been using for years, but I do have actual paper business cards, well, cards, physical business cards. And I was at my location in Kenmore for about 3 years, and I just moved from there. And like my address isn't updated on those, and it's expensive to print new business cards. So I do like the Hi Hello because you can update your everything on there. And when you I like it better than a dot because when you do, scan this QR code or you can send it to their phone, it lets them save all of your information, like your social media handles, your website, your phone number, your name, address, and things of that nature. So if you guys aren't like, if you're into digital business cards, check out Hi Hello because it is free.
And please do that before you
Yeah, that's
scratch
why
anything out on paper.
I would have like, do you have the website for that? It's just Hi Hello. That's like all it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
HI Hello. And it's like a purple app. And I've been using it. I actually took a training class with someone in Baltimore, Maryland, and that's where I first learned of the app. But obviously, I've learned like speaking with other business owners in like Western New York, no one really knows about Hi Hello. And I
Right.
like it better than Dot because
Excuse me,
you don't
guys.
pay for it.
Sorry, guys. Sorry to interrupt. Just wanna. We only have until 7:30 today, so thank you so much for the recommendation. I actually put it in the chat too.
Perfect.
So yeah, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you. I saw a hand. Was it Val? Yes.
It was, but she already answered it. Thank you about the hi hello. Is it just
Okay.
hihello.com or is it any just Google
So
hi
that's gonna be
hello?
Put it
it's
in the
gonna be in
chat.
the chat. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Thanks,
Mm-hmm.
guys.
And we go until 6:30 tonight. Is that correct?
7. Isn't it 7?
Oh, because on the calendar it said 6:30.
It
I'm
did.
sorry, 6:30.
Okay.
Uh-oh, that's
It's 6:30.
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Thank
right, guys.
you.
Thank you so much. If you have questions, put it in the chat and we can get to them afterward. All right. We gotta keep going.
We're gonna
Okay.
keep going. This one's a big one. And if you watch Shark Tank at all, you're gonna hear this quite often. Revenue does not equal profit. Revenue is your money coming in. Profit is the money you keep from that money that came in. This is so critically important because you will have very often businesses that made our revenues were $12 million, but we had a loss of 300,000. Meaning out of all that money that came in, they still had to pay 300,000 more to keep the doors open. You're going to want to keep your eye on this number, and not just the number, the revenue number, but what that profit number is. Cost of goods is everything that it takes to produce that unit. That's why that unit is so important. Very important to understand what's one unit of your product or service. Then you're going to want to understand what it costs to produce that one unit. And your gross profit is that revenue minus the cost of goods. So meaning if I make t-shirts and it costs me $50 in supplies to make those t-shirts for one t-shirt, and then I sell that t-shirt for $75, then that gross profit is 25. You got that? And you're gonna have these formulas available to you. But these are some of the numbers as a business owner that you really want to keep in front of you at all times. I will tell you from experience, it is very, very easy to just get into the running of the business and then the numbers start disappearing and suddenly you're in a hole. These numbers are critical. Very few numbers, but numbers you want to get very used to as a business owner. Your indirect costs, understanding these are costs that don't go into the number of units that you sell. Meaning, if I sell t-shirts, back to the t-shirts, my rent is not part of making a t-shirt. The utility bill is not part of making the t-shirt. Indirect costs are the costs that you have regardless of whether you sell anything or not. Think of it that way. Your net profit, that's that take-home number. This is that number after all the things are added and subtracted. This is how much you make. You're going to want to use that in your pricing. Why? Because you want to understand if I price it at this number, how many units do I have to sell to pay for all of these things? The cost of goods, my indirect, how much is that? And how much is left? And based on how much is left, is it going to sustain me as a business owner? Can it support my lifestyle? Sasha.
I was writing my question in the chat. What if I need a couple softwares to produce and deliver the product?
Meaning? Like,
So,
like say Canva, so like a
yeah,
subscription?
correct.
Yeah. So you would just space, if you have your unit price, you would space that out, say like a year, and whatever that number is per year, that goes in as part of your cost of goods sold. But you want to capture literally every single one of those. So often I have business owners say, well, I don't know how to try to price my I don't know how much I want to make. Well, they'll say your product or service is $25 and you know that you need to make 50,000 to pay for all of your business stuff and your lifestyle, then that's an easy division. How many of these $25 do I have to sell? And then break that out. How much is that a month? How much is that a week? And then you've got your pricing. Because then you can say, if that number is unattainable, if it means that I need to sell 3,000 items in a month and I can't do that, if I raise my price and the market will bear that, then that means that I have to sell less because the price of my service, my product or service is higher. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? Great. Why is my screen not moving? Okay, hold on, people. I'm frozen. My presentation is frozen. I'm gonna start it over again. But if you have questions about those numbers, feel free to drop those in the chat. Why is this? What's going on here? Sorry, people. There, finally. I have to restart my presentation. Marisol, is there anything in the chat that we need to address?
Not yet.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's good because the numbers are something that many small business owners don't get into until it is way too late.
Yep.
And especially when it comes
And
time for
are
funding.
there resources for pricing structures for service-based businesses?
In terms of what? Because pricing is not something that's necessarily standard, meaning it typically depends on the product or service and the industry. And as an owner, I will say this too, as an owner, your perspective should be much broader than just your business. You should be thinking from a regional area perspective and also from an industry perspective in terms of what it is that what your market can bear and what's happening in your industry. Those are great places to understand, do I need to do any kind of adjustment to my pricing? And almost every industry has an association, to your point, Marisol, about resources. Almost every industry has an association. Get involved with that. Join it, become a member, and talk to other people in your industry to find out what's going on with pricings.
Mm.
Can I come off
Sasha
mute
wants
and
to.
try to elaborate? I'm sorry.
You're okay.
I just wanted to ask because mine's is my name is Latoya and I'm the owner of Healthcare Liaison. But with that, do any I can't just use any pricing structure because it deals with Medicaid and insurance and things like that. I can't charge per nurse, per family because it violates anti-kickback laws and statutes. So I just was wondering, like, is there a list of options that service-based businesses have done, can do, so I can just kind of pick or research something that falls within like legal bounds, if that makes sense?
It makes sense. And that's more to my point just a moment ago about associations in your industry, because that sounds like a very regulated situation more than just a service-based business. So you're going to want to talk to other people who are in that industry who have to follow those same regulations and understand what that pricing structure is.
Thank you
That's the
for
thing.
asking
I
that.
think I'm the only one in the industry with this sort of idea. That's the part that's hard. Yeah. It's similar to care.com, but with Medicaid included.
But when you look at the industry, now it might be something certainly locally and even regionally, you might be the only person. But when you look at the industry, there's probably people out there doing something, if not exact, very similar. And then you would want to talk to them. And I will say this, when it comes to pricing, I had no problem reaching out to people who were much bigger than me in my industry, and they were very willing to talk to me about pricing, processes, systems, because they weren't in my area. They weren't competitors, and they didn't feel like they were growing a competitor by talking to me. I had people that I was reaching out to in New Jersey, in the DMV area, and California, who were doing literal millions in revenue that willingly sat down and talked to me about how to grow the business and how to build the business. Use that as a resource for sure.
Thank you. Will do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see if we can move there. So, business model. Here's where you want to do a kind of high level discussion about how your business makes money. There's a format that's provided here. When you do your business model canvas, this is kind of how you're going to be filling in those blanks and being able to make this statement with those blanks filled in. The business model, I can't emphasize this enough. Your business model should be the high level overview of how your business will make money. Your business is a separate entity. Your business makes money, and your business takes that money and pays you and all of your other employees. I'll say that again. Your business is a separate entity, and that business makes money, and it takes that money and pays you and your other employees. So when you create this business model, you should be thinking of it literally as a separate thing. And how is it structured? How does it operate? What employees does it have? How does it find customers? How does it service those customers? What kind of budgets do you need it to have? And I will tell you, you need a marketing budget. You need a marketing budget. I'm going to say that again. You need a marketing budget because you have to get leads. Marketing is how you get leads. Sales is converting those leads to customers. So you need leads in your business, and you get leads through marketing. Ivy. You're still muted.
You're muted, Ivy.
Okay, there you go.
How long does it typically business to be able to afford to pay an employee? Or is that something like you could get like a loan for or funding for so that you can pay them?
My philosophy is financing is for growth, meaning you don't take out a loan for regular business operations. Your business should be making money to cover your operating expenses. Financing is when you have an opportunity for growth. There's not a time frame for when your business makes money. Some people's business can make money. Their business model is such that they make money on day one. There are some people whose business model they have significant losses for 2, 3, 4 years before they show a profit. So there's no timeline specifically on when you can start paying people and bringing in that kind of money. It's really how your business is structured in terms of how your product or service is delivered, how much you're charging for it, how much you're making. All those numbers on that previous slide really go into telling you how your business is going to make money over time. That answer your question?
It does. It does.
Good, good. So that again goes into the importance of setting up a model and making sure that that model at some point has you moving out of the operator role and into the owner role, because there's so much you need to be doing as the owner that when you are stuck in that operator role, you miss out on these things like the numbers, like what's going on in the industry, like being able to generate different revenue streams and what your business development is. Those are the things that you as the owner need to be top of mind every day. Competitors. This is why there's always competitors, always competitors, regardless. If you're doing something that you're saying there are no competitors in my field, then to me, that's saying one of two things. One, you don't have an industry view, and two, you're doing something that's not going to be sustainable long term. Because one thing this country is good at, it's capitalism. So if it was something that made money, somebody would be doing it. And I would say also, don't be afraid of competitors. Competitors are a wonderful way to prove your business model. If you're in an industry that has a lot of people in it already, that means that there's tons of customers, that there's a need. Now you just have to get in and say, where do I fit in? What thing can I do differently that can bring these customers over to me? That's not a hard thing to do because you don't have to make something that's so vastly different that your customers are now confused saying, this is you're a hair store, but I can get my oil changed. That's not how you want to differentiate yourself. You really want to be able to say, how can I serve the customer in a better way than my competitors? And I also want to talk about what a competitor is, because a competitor doesn't have to do exactly what you do. A competitor is a business that serves your target customer in the same way at the same scale as you do. So if I make tea light candles in my basement, I wouldn't call Yankee Candle my competitor. The scale that they operate at and the customer's mindset is very different. That customer is not going to be deciding, do I spend $49.99 on a candle or do I spend $1.89 on a candle? That Yankee customer is a very specific customer. That's not my customer if I'm making tea lights in my basement. But I'll tell you who is my customer. Good old Dollar Tree that ain't a dollar no more. That's my competitor, because someone who's looking to buy from the Dollar Tree and looking to buy from me would have the same scale. They would be thinking of the same price point for that candle. So think about that. Who's doing what you do in your space? Who are the customers? Who is serving your customer right now? Who's that person that's that entity that if I didn't exist, my customers would go get what they need from them? That's your competitor. So how you evaluate those competitors is harder when you're talking about a product. If your business is to direct to consumer, you're probably going to be in a space where those businesses are private. Your competitors are private, meaning they don't have to report what they do. So at our scale, rarely would we ever have a competitor who is at the public level where they report earnings and have annual reports listed online. That's not where you're going to find them. You might not even find them in the library, but I will tell you, and I think I must have it on another slide. But there are databases at the library where you can do some really good research on people who are doing business in this local area. And that's Buffalo and Rochester. Google, finding out where people, again, who are your people? Where are your people hanging out right now? You need to know that anyway, because you should be having conversations with them wherever they are online. But wherever they're posting comments and reviews, you want to be there and you want to be reading them to see, what is my competitor doing? What are they failing at? What are they succeeding at? How are they doing it? What are they charging? That's you can do it the sneaky way by being a customer of your competitor. But you can also do it just by, again, reading to see if you're willing to dig enough in these reviews. People will say things like, I paid $12,000 and it wasn't worth 4. Or they might say, I paid $12,000 and I would have easily paid 20. You want to get that information. It's all intel for you. And you want to understand where you fit in that lane. And if you know your target customer well enough, you'll know what little difference you need to make them choose between you or choose you over that competitor. Because as a new business, that's what you're trying to do. You are either getting that customer to stop doing business with this person and do business with you, or start doing business with you after doing nothing. Because you have to recognize your competition is always nothing. That customer has the option of letting the problem just exist without any solution. So you really have to understand what's going to move that customer, and it's always going to be a benefit. So what do you look for? These are the things you want to understand about that competitor, what they're doing in that marketplace. Because I think I said yesterday, you don't want to have all over your branding that you're different because you deliver when 6 other competitors also deliver. There's nothing different about that. That's not a differentiator. Differentiator is something that your customer really needs, that as a benefit to your customer, that they cannot get from your competitors. And you should be ranking those competitors, because some of them, even though you have the same business, the same industry, the same customer, some of them are better than others. And you don't want to waste time trying to beat out that lowest competitor. You want to be saying, I want to be on par with that top competitor. I want those customers to start coming over to me. So here we talk about what makes you better, that unique value proposition. I really want to re-emphasize that this should not be something that you just lay awake at night going, how can I be unique? It doesn't have to be that different on the scale. Think of every part of that customer journey, and that will give you all kinds of opportunities to be a little bit different. Meaning, how does that customer find you from the very beginning? If you have someone who's never heard of you, how would they find you? That could be a point of differentiation. If everybody's on Facebook or Instagram or social media, but you have a website, or maybe if everybody has a website, but you have a YouTube channel or a podcast, how do people find you? Once they find you, what's that first step? I now know who you are, I now know you exist, I know you have a solution to my problem. What's the next step in their journey? Do you have a downloadable one sheet, one pager about your product or services? Are your services and prices on your website? All these different things along that journey could make your customer feel like you see me, you know me, and you honor my problem and you're willing to solve it and you're capable of solving it. Those are all places to differentiate yourself. Those are all the things that can make your unique value proposition stand out against your competitors. Because this, as we said yesterday, this unique value proposition is what you're going to build into your marketing. This is what you're going to use to talk about the benefits to your target customer, not the features, not that I have this great downloadable worksheet, but the benefit of having that worksheet, that you can day or night find out all the information you need on whether or not we can solve your problem. So your activity for this week, and I'm going to give you, this is part of the thing that you're going to deliver on Monday. So I'll be sending the business canvas. I might even be able to drop it in the chat. The business canvas that you're going to fill out, that'll have all the information that you're going to put about your business into this canvas. It's not a huge, not a lot of information to fill out. It's not information you shouldn't already know. But if you have any questions or need any additional information, certainly feel free to reach out to Marisol. I think my email address is on here on the next slide.
I
But
can
feel
also put
free
it
to,
in the chat.
yes, great. Feel free to ask any questions and as you're filling that out, but really understand that this is going to be a tool that you'll probably refer back to very often, and it'll change as you grow and as you learn more about your customers, learn more about your business. But it is going to be a phenomenal starting place for collecting all this information about your business.
I have one question. When you're
Yes.
paying through Medicaid for the second bullet, how would that go? And your prices are set through the state that you're in.
So this is your prices are different from your costs. So your costs are based on you and what you're doing.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So your costs are what you are spending to
Yes.
create that unit.
Kim,
Yes.
would you recommend having pricing for service-based businesses? Would you recommend having pricing for their packages directly listed on their websites?
It depends on your target customer and your brand. Is part of your brand being transparent? Do your customers expect to be able to see the pricing? Does your pricing change on a regular basis? You know, these are all things that would go into the decision on whether or not your prices should go up there. But that's a part of what your conversation with your target customer will tell you.
Can you put like a starting at a better price?
You can. You can put starting at, you can put a range. It's up to you what you want
Okay.
to put on your pricing.
Kim?
Yes.
So
Can
just
you
to
go
go back
back?
to
Sorry. Thank you.
in terms of the pricing, just so I get this properly, you said the formula is the cost annually to run your business divided by the amount of products or service you need to sell to cover not only the cost of that annual cost of the business, but also your lifestyle, meaning like your personal expenses.
If you want the business to support you, you
Correct.
have to have you have to make sure that the revenue that you generate will cover the costs of your life.
Okay.
India.
Hi, I just have a question for people like maybe me who have not quite opened yet. How would I know what the cost is if I have not done it? Am I just going to guess?
You shouldn't be guessing your costs. What you should know what you're going to deliver, correct? Even if you
Yes.
haven't sold it, you know what it is.
Yes.
So you should be able to calculate what the cost. Remember, the cost is all of the materials, equipment, your time. Those are the things that you put into it. So what part of it don't you know?
Well, I guess, well, I sell food, right? Latoya Sanctified Food. If y'all hungry, let me know. Um, so I guess because it depends on how much I'm gonna sell this day. Like, because we've been doing pop-up dinner sales just to get the customers, ready for it. So if I buy enough food today to sell 50 dinners, then I'm gonna sell 50 dinners. If I buy enough food this day to sell 70, then I'm gonna sell 70. So it's like I don't have an exact amount because every day is different.
Well, but so this is what I would always tell people is because I see this a lot also in the event industry. Excuse me. When people say, I can't give a price, I can't put costs on it because it depends. It depends on what the customer wants. And I'm saying you, as the owner, have the ability to standardize that. You, as the owner, have the ability to use your food example to say, these are the foods that I'm selling. And I'm selling, let's say, I'm selling rib dinners on Mondays. I'm selling pork chop dinners on Tuesday, and all through the week, these different meals. And I know that on Monday, when I sell the ribs with the greens and the cornbread and the mac and cheese, the cost of that is this. The cost of the pork chop dinners is this. The cost of the fish dinners is this. And you've done it enough times that you should be able to have those numbers available that I spent this much money to make this many dinners. Those are your costs. So if all of the ingredients and the time and the equipment to create 75 dinners was, let's say it was $3,000. So then you say $3,000 divided by 75, that's my cost per meal for rib dinners. And I can do that for pork chop dinners. I can do that for fish dinners. I can do that for cheeseburger dinners, whatever that is. But you have to standardize it so that you can control those costs. That's why you'll see places that have very specific menu items, very specific dinner specials, very specific, and that's so that they can contain their costs. They don't have to sit and wonder, well, if they order a some mixed vegetables and corn, that's this price. But if they order cheese or macaroni and cheese with corn, it's this price. But if you standardize it and then you put the costs into it, and then you know what to charge for it. Because once you know what the costs are and what the market will bear, you have to be able to say, I have to charge at least this much. If it comes down to $29.95 for all of once you divide that 3,000 by your 75, I need to charge at least that per meal to make sure I break even on my materials, my ingredients. Anything I charge above that is profit. But that's how you do it with a catering business or any business where you've got variable items. You put the standard on it.
Kim?
Yes.
There is a question, really quick, guys. There's about less than 5 minutes left in our session today. So if you need to leave at 6:30, that's okay. Just want to let you know that the presentation and recording will be up in the Google Drive by tomorrow noon. Okay. Kim, the question that we have is from Mecca. Who originally started a program where she set a price per student, but then she changed it to a free community program to serve the underserved. So now she offers products and will be offering other services to help sustain that program specifically. So she's wondering, should I price my products and services based off of cost and the original price per student that she was trying to get?
Did I hear you say you changed it to a free model?
That is correct, yes.
How do you plan to sustain a free model?
She's offering products and other services to help sustain the program. Now she's charging for those other products and services.
And you want to understand if you want to change it back?
So I guess basic. Sorry, the baby was a little loud, so I had dropped the question in the chat.
Uh-huh.
But so originally with the program, I had a price per student, and it included like workshops. They got portfolios and basically like mentorship. So then, based off of me doing the program and just like the accessibility in the community that we're in, um I changed it to a free program. So Shooting Stars Institute is a part of a ecosystem, and my goal is to go the nonprofit route with the institute. But then I also have a for-profit business, which I do photography and sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now. Media services, essentially, that is like the sister company to this institute. So my question for the other services is, should I be factoring in like the price, the original cost of like per student that I had set in order to help sustain that brand?
You're I'm trying to separate this in my head here, but when you have a business that, so let me also just touch on nonprofit versus profit. A nonprofit business operates identical to a for-profit business. The difference is how the revenue and profit is distributed. In a nonprofit scenario, those funds, the money that's generated, any money that's generated needs to be put back into the entity to serve the constituents for that particular uh, entity. So if you have this mentoring program as an official nonprofit organization, you have to then turn around and not you as the owner cannot make money off of that entity. In a for-profit scenario, your customers are paying and you're generating revenue, and that revenue is distributed based on the structure of that entity, be it an LLC, DBA, C Corp, whatever. If you have this business that is not charging, but you're not an official nonprofit organization, I'm not understanding the method to sustain that business, because you wouldn't, if you were already making money charging it per student, then stripping away that revenue, I don't understand how that's going to be sustainable long term while you're trying to be an official nonprofit organization.
So I know my goal is to apply for, different grants as well and funding, but we do have like a product that's like a everyday essential kit. It's like everyday sorry, my mind is all over the place right now, but
It's okay.
I have a product. It is like an everyday essential kit is what it's called, and it's like self-care items that come in like a little pouch that you can bring with you on the go. And the concept came from the program that I teach, because it's a model and acting program. So having those products that you can essentially put in your model bag is where the concept came from. So I do charge for those. And then my plan is to offer like one-on-one sessions, but still under the institute. And my understanding with the nonprofit, and then again, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can have again these products and services, but again, they have to, like, all the funding would have to go back into the business and the cause, correct?
Correct. You, excuse me, you can have products, but you, I also want to say this about nonprofit organizations, and especially newer organizations. Grants are available, but typically grant funds are for programming. So your organization would have to have some specific programming that funder says, I want to fund that program. That program might be 3 sessions. It might be a long-term, over several months, but there's an actual program within the organization. So typically, Grant funding is not for the organization just as a blanket funding. So just I want to be careful about the goal here to understanding, and that is also a designation. That's not something that you will typically be able to go to a funder and say, I don't want to charge the students, so I'm looking for people to give me grant funds for that. That your C or 501(c)(3) status is what has to be kind of in place when you approach funders for grant funding, typically.
Kim, if I could too,
Sure.
like Mecca, because we worked together in the past. And so if you want to set up some time, I can talk about like teen empowerment, how we fund the programming, because this is exactly that. It's not a free program, right? It's free to the users, right?
Right,
But
and that's what I mean. Yeah.
that funding comes from somewhere, and it's exactly what Kim said is, this specific program is funded by these donors, this other program is funded by this, and it becomes very complicated. And the other thing you have to consider too is that when you're a nonprofit, it is not yours. Right? It doesn't belong to you. You don't get to just make decisions on your own what it's going to look like. All of that comes from like a board and things like that. So I would be happy to link up with you and kind of talk through that too, because I sit on 3 boards and then I also work at TE too. So
Yes, great. That's great. Thank you for that, because that's important. And it's very important that you've already stripped away the funding, because this is something else I want to say, because I hear it a great deal in the early startup, and as well specifically with minority people of color, where we are wanting to serve the greatest amount of people for the least amount of price. And I'm saying to you that your your net, or your revenue for your business is reflected by the people that you have decided as your customer base. So if your customer base is routinely, they can only scrape up the littlest amount of money, that's going to be a huge barrier to your growth as a business owner. Typically, only larger entities can absorb that kind of income or revenue, because they have larger marketing machines and they bring that in volume, like the Dollar Tree. They can have everything in there be $1 because they've got enough marketing and enough, they're a big enough company that they can get 600 people every hour across their stores in the door. You can't do that as a new startup. One of the very first things you want to look at when you're looking at your pricing and you're looking at your target customer is their ability to pay. I want to be able to price my product or service and have the value reflected, the value of my product or service reflected in my price. And I trust that the people who really need it and really want it can get it, of my target customer. Now, I also say, as a community benefit component, you could say, I'm going to put my price at $597. And my target customer, I get plenty of people to pay it, but maybe on Sundays, I open the doors when I'm normally closed. I open the doors for this part of the community to come in and take part of my services. That's my community give back. But that's not the business model. That's not my business model, because I can't sustain that long term by having 7 days a week giving away my product or service.
It's crazy that you say that because that's actually when I run the program is on Sundays, and it's only a 2-hour program, and like the one that I'm referring to be free. But yes, I know we on a time limit right now, but I will ask some questions via email and schedule some time with Shan as well. But thank you so much.
Sure, no problem. I would say that for all of you. Put the value on high. I mean, let it be high. That's part of your market research. You might be surprised at how many people will pay what you charge because it's worth it. You've set up a business that's worth it. And then if you want to on the side say, I'm going to do something that's going to just strictly for the benefit of the community, go for it. But that can't be your problem. It's just like with employees. We had a program where we had people coming in for 18 weeks, and the first thing they say, I want to hire all the people in my community who haven't had jobs in 12 years. You want them to be, all of your employees to be completely out of the workforce for over a decade? Your business can't sustain that as a new business. But what it could say is, for every 4 people that I hire, one of them is going to be someone that might have struggles in the workforce that I'm going to try to bring in and get their skills up and try to mentor them, so to speak, or give them a chance. But it can't be your whole workforce. You cannot be a community project and still be sustainable as a business. That's my soapbox.
Thank you so much, Kim. And this is literally why we have B2B businesses, right? So that you can go to other organizations to give you money to do what you want to do with the community. So yeah, it doesn't always have to be through a nonprofit arm. You can literally do this and still make money. So
Exactly.
yeah, all right. This was I want everyone to hopefully if you couldn't stay to watch the recording so that you could see this part right here, because I know a lot of us really want to help out and we can't figure out how to do it while still being sustainable. So thank you so much, Kim.
Exactly.
You are the freaking best.
Thank you.
And hopefully everyone had a great time tonight. We will see you guys on Monday. And like I said, recording and slides will be up there by tomorrow. All right. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kim. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.